Subnautica is, without a doubt, one of my favorite franchises ever made. It is a rare masterpiece that managed to perfectly balance beautiful exploration with absolute primal terror. So trust me when I say this video genuinely hurts to make. The moment I launched Subnautica 2, something felt off, something doesn't sit right. And seriously, have you read the user agreement for this game? I highly recommend you to do so, because if you ever feel like your mood is too good, go read it and it will ruin your day. It genuinely feels like it was written by Altura Corporation themselves. The agreement feels weirdly invasive for a game about peaceful exploration. It tracks a terrifying amount of your background data, and let me remind you, your data is not guaranteed to be stored safely by whoever receives it. And the deeper I looked into how this sequel was being structured, the more uncomfortable I got. Then there is also the technical side of things. Unreal Engine 5, and truth to be told, the game launches fairly fast once the initial shader compilation is done, but tell me Subnautica needed this game engine and all its problems like leaking lights, low draw distance and high system requirements. Then we have so-called early access, a nice concept in theory, if it wasn't so heavily exploited as a shield against criticism. I've been there for the messy launches of DayZ, the Long Dark, 7 Days to Die, and I remember every single one of them. And as a longtime fan standing on the shores of Subnautica 2, I just cannot take my tinfoil hat off. But when I look at the raw data, I think I'm crazy. Subnautica 2 Early Access is finally here and people are incredibly excited. It sold over 2 million copies right out of the gate and has a staggering 94% positive review score on Steam. And hell, no wonder they finally added a climbing animation. Well, sort of. But despite the hype, I'm deeply worried about the future of this game and the consequences of us mindlessly clicking agree to those terms because alienfish. But let's look past the corporate background and dive into the actual game. The biggest problem right now is that it is not really obvious how early in development this game actually is. You go on some scripted monorail, do things in a suggested order, and swim only where you are allowed to swim, because if you try to organically explore, you first get slapped by an out-of-bounds message, and then a buggy fish comes around and softlocks your entire game. That's exactly what happened to me when I decided to mess around after I was out of content. The game overwrote my save file right on top of that, so I couldn't even roll back. Right now, the world design feels very stacked rather than naturally transitioning. It makes some of these early access zones feel like a test world or a gray box level design. You cross a literal line on the seafloor and the biome watercolors instantly shift. And speaking of the water, it is incredibly murky. Now, you could argue it is for atmosphere, but let's be real about Unreal Engine 5. Sometimes it genuinely feels like the murkiness isn't an artistic choice to create atmosphere. It is a band-aid, a tactical fog designed to hide aggressive acid popping and the heavy rendering tax of Unreal Engine 5. Then we have the pacing. The game forces an incredibly tiny starting inventory on you, but gives you blueprints to dive deeper very early on, which results in an annoying, tedious inventory grind requiring repetitive trips back and forth just to gather basic materials. And when you finally get to the late game base building, the resource costs become absolutely bonkers. If you're about to play it or play it right now, do yourself a favor. Once you get to the fixing turbine part, step back from the game. No spoilers, but last couple of hours feel like pure artificial padding. You just swim through murky water, collecting absurd amount of resources to fix the turbine, only for the early access content to end almost immediately after. And the worst part is that while collecting all that and all the time before this point, I was not afraid a single time. The core fear factor has been completely watered down. We now have convenient pockets of oxygen to breathe inside deep caves and wrecks. Our vehicles aren't permanently destroyed and the enemies just don't do that much damage. I died only once out of curiosity, not because I was actually in danger. Which brings us to the hostile fauna. Instead of being scary, they have introduced the Immortal Mosquito effect. And as a core philosophy, Subnautica doesn't want you killing the animals. Okay, fine, pacifist run. But in the original game, predators had territories, and in Subnautica 2, smaller predators act like scripted irritants. They will tether to you and track you across the entire map, constantly biting you for minor damage while you try to mine some resources. You cannot kill them and you cannot permanently scare them away. Need I say how annoying this is? Naturally, players went to the official Discord to give feedback. One player wrote, "Why can't we kill in Subnautica 2? That makes zero sense. If not, modders will do it." And a developer team responded with this absolute gem. This is my face when I read it. Hold on a second. Don't you sort of destroy a living being while you feel like having a midnight snack and cook some fish? The developers explicitly stated they wanted to make Subnautica 2 with the community. Early access is quite literally a period where you let people play your game to offer feedback, but yet when a large chunk of the community points out a mechanical frustration, the official response is go play something else? As a side note, they did eventually take this back and promised non-lethal creature deterrence in a future patch, but that initial reaction definitely rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. And hey, can we really blame the dev team for snapping when you look at the absolute corporate chaos happening above their heads? The corporate red flag started before this game was even on the horizon. You might have heard something about that. The publisher, Krafton, abruptly fired the studio's co-founders and key executives right before launch because they didn't want to pay them a promised $250 million bonus for finishing the game on time. The corporate drama got so ridiculous that a real-life court case revealed that Krafton CEO was literally consulting ChatGPT on a strategy on how to fire them to avoid paying out. You literally cannot make this up. And thankfully, this time the legal system actually worked. In a wild legal reversal right before the early access launch, the court caught Krafton red-handed, ruled in favor of the devs and forced Krafton to reinstate them. But the corporate slime is still all over this project, and sometimes it genuinely feels like that immense executive pressure is bleeding directly into the game design itself. And look, generally, this video is neither pro nor against the game. I like the game, and that's exactly I'm saying all this. I just want it to be a better place. And I think that if you're a casual player who prefers to never look behind the curtains so you don't ruin the magic, you will probably love this game. It's beautiful. It feels like Subnautica 2, and playing it with friends must be a blast. I have none. But if you care about optimization, consumer data privacy, and the developer team that listens to feedback instead of telling you to play something else, you should stay cautious. The soul of Subnautica feels compromised, and it feels like there are some stormy seas ahead. And who knows how it will all turn out once the new game smell wears off. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you playing it? Are you waiting for 1.0? And a little note for the people who are waiting for the Warframe video. My editing schedule got sort of drop kicked in the balls by real life and me being sick, but the video is in the works. I will see you all very soon.